A very good morning. It's just past 8 this Tuesday morning. We're back again with another edition of Breakfast News. Over the next 60 minutes, this is power-packed news as it happens, cutting all the noise, getting facts as it happens on the ground. I'm Anil Thomas. Let's get started this Tuesday morning with the top stories at the top of this hour. As the country battles the biggest COVID wave so far, Russian vaccine Sputnik V says it has got the nod of Drug Controller of India to be the third vaccine after Covishield and Covaxin in the country. Nearly 11 crore vaccine doses administered so far. Sushil Chandra to assume charge as Chief Election Commissioner today will replace Sunil Arora, whose term at the office ended on Monday. Election Commission bans Mamata Banerjee from campaigning for 24 hours, finding her guilty of violating the Model Code of Conduct. The Election Commission order cites portion of the West Bengal Chief Minister's election speeches where she appealed to voters on religious grounds. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate the sixth round of Raisina Dialogue, India's premier global conference on geopolitics today. 150 speakers from 50 countries to take part in the four-day event. United Kingdom adds Pakistan to list of 21 high-risk countries with unsatisfactory money laundering and terror financing controls. Pakistan has already been listed as high risk by the international watchdog Financial Action Task Force, FATF. In IPL cricket, valiant century by Rajasthan captain Sanju Samson goes in vain as they lose to Punjab by 4 runs in the final ball of the final over. And Indian New Year Samvatsar and Chaitra Navratra begins today. Festival also being celebrated as Baisakhi in Punjab, Gudi Padwa in Maharashtra and Bihu in Assam. President, Vice President and Prime Minister wish people on the occasion. Well, those are the headlines at the top of this hour. Now for the stories in detail, starting first up with the third vaccine, that's Sputnik V. That's got the nod. The Drug Controller General of India has approved the use of Russia's Sputnik V vaccine against coronavirus. The decision came hours after an expert panel of the regulator recommended emergency license to the vaccine. Sputnik V is now the third vaccine to be given such an approval in India after Serum Institute of India's Covishield and Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. The Russian Direct Investment Fund said in a statement that the vaccine has been registered in India under the emergency use authorization procedure based on results of clinical trials in Russia as well as the positive data of additional phase 3 local clinical trials in India conducted in partnership with Dr. Reddy's laboratories. Including India, 60 countries have now approved this 2-dose vaccine. Well, today is the third day of the countrywide Tika Utsav or vaccine festival. Day 2 of the 4-day Tika Utsav saw many workplace vaccination centers operational across the country. Over 37 lakh vaccine doses were administered on Monday. 71,000 COVID vaccination centers were operational, marking a rise of an average of 26,000 operational vaccination centers. The cumulative number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far stands at 10 crore 82 lakhs. In terms of the number of daily doses administered globally, India continues to remain at the top with an average of around 40 lakh 55,000 doses administered every day. Well, for more on this story, we've got Taposh, our correspondent, joining us. Taposh, good morning. Up new numbers, new highs being hit every day. purely in terms of vaccination, how has been, especially 2 days of Tika festival that we have seen, we are into day 3. How do you see the rise and how do you see the anticipation, especially amongst, now more vaccination centers coming up?
Right. So the vaccines that we are going, currently have, we have a Covaxin and Covishield. And yesterday, late night, there's good news coming in from that front also that we got another vaccine, the third vaccine that has been cleared by DCGI. That is a Sputnik 5, which has been cleared, and that's going to be our third vaccine, and that's going to also make a huge impact, considering the fact that the Russian the Sputnik 5, which has been cleared by Russia and RFITI. That they are expected that almost 852 million doses will be manufactured in the country for the world. And Russian Direct Investment Fund has tied up with 4 to 5 companies in India to produce almost 852 million doses, and out of that, almost 426 million doses will be provided for India. So in that sense, that's a huge number that you're talking about, and that's going to give a huge flip, a huge boost to the fact that this particular vaccine drive that we are currently seeing, and India is trying to inoculate 1.2 billion people. So that's going to play a huge role in that effort. And late night, we saw but Sputnik, in their Twitter, they confirmed the fact that
Tapash, when do we see this particular vaccine? Since that the authorization has come, when do you see this particular vaccination to be rolled out?
Well, it will just take some time, because as of now, Dr. Reddy's laboratory, which were doing the phase 3 trials and were marketing the vaccine in the country, they do not currently have they have not manufactured the vaccine currently in the country. So it will take some time before the vaccination process, manufacturing process will kickstart it in a way. It will take at least, almost 2 to 3, 90 days almost before the production will be starting in India. But they can, get the thing export the vaccine from Russia in a very short, in a small quantity. And once the vaccination process starts, in fact, remember, Sputnik 5 has tied up with numerous production labs in the country, including Hetero Biopharma and Gland Pharma, and it is expected that these 4 to 5 companies from let's say another month or 2, they will start the whole production, and that's going to play a huge role in inoculating the masses that we have been talking about. Remember, as of now, Serum Institute and Bharat Biotech are the only 2 companies which are providing Covishield and Covaxin, and they are struggling to meet the demand, considering the fact that a huge number of population has to be inoculated. So in that sense, that's going to this particular Sputnik 5's Sputnik V is in fact coming out and becoming the third vaccine will play a huge role in this particular the thing that we are talking about, providing vaccine to almost 1.2 billion people. So that's going to play a huge role in that.
Okay, it's going to play a huge role, and it's going to be a deciding factor, especially in India's fight against COVID. So after 2 vaccines, we've got the third one that's got the green signal. We'll have to wait and watch when that particular vaccine rolls out in India. Well, let's now shift focus and head to the epicenter of this particular COVID battle, the state of Maharashtra, and we've joined by our correspondent Shama Mishra joining us this morning from Mumbai. Shama, good morning. Shama, clearly numbers, when you purely look at numbers, that's a big positive one looks at. There is a sharp drop in the numbers that you see. And, first things first, what do you see the reasons behind the drop in this particular numbers?
Well, we cannot be really happy about it, because tomorrow again we can see, or today evening when the numbers come out, today we'll have to be ready for another rise in the numbers, because this is not a continuous pattern that is going on. It is like fluctuating. So one day it is less, then another day it is another record high. So it could be accounted for less number of reports that less number of tests that has happened, or somewhat like that. Because for the fact we know that earlier also, when the entire numbers had touched 59,000 and more, it had come back down to 35,000, but then it shot up to 63,000 once again. So we cannot be really, it is too early to get happy about it.
Okay.
Apart from that, even Mumbai has reported lesser number of COVID cases. What has happened over here in Maharashtra, that the festivities are going on, the festivals are coming. Today is the Marathi New Year. Gudi Padwa is being celebrated. The starting of Ramzan is also going to happen. The ministers, the chief minister, the deputy chief minister has appealed to people that they should be celebrating it at their home. No, outside festivities should happen. Apart from that, whoever is celebrating Ramzan, they should not go out and on the roads, and especially for the fact that we know for the fact that coronavirus spreads through contact and people coming together. So he has requested, Ajit Pawar has requested people to not hug each other, because that could be the reason of spreading the virus. Apart from this, we've been speaking on this, that 10th and so the 9th standard, 10th standard and the 12th standard students were facing this particular situation where they had to give an exam, and that would be an offline exam. So yesterday in a meeting, State Education Minister has said that this would be postponed, but only till May. The 12th standard would be giving it in end of May, and 10th standard would be giving it in June. But if the situation is still continuing like this, then we can expect another meeting that could come out that could result in a meeting like postponing the exams further or taking it in an online method.
Okay, also purely looking at the way things are standing, at this point of time, purely in terms of, when I say positive, I meant purely in terms of a drop in 20% when it comes to the numbers that we see. But you put it exactly on, low testing in the state, the reason for the numbers to be low. But purely looking at, drugs that are needed for the treatment, there has been a ban on export of these drugs. How easy is it for people to get the drugs that are needed, especially, drugs like Remdesivir? How easy is it for people to get it, or do you still see that, it's a tough ordeal, especially for people to get those drugs necessary for the treatment or the likely treatments for COVID-19?
I'm afraid it will have to be the latter, because people are still struggling to get one particular injection, and with this, a huge demand of this injection, people, whoever is having these injections, like the shop owners, the chemist people, they are trying to hoard it, and that is why the reason has become that people are, making long queues outside the centers where they know the fact that Remdesivir is available, and they are also charging it, extravagantly, because Remdesivir injections are, below 5,000 rupees. But here in Maharashtra, there have been cases where people are being charged more than 11,000, and it's not just one injection. Doctors have been asking to get more injections for the patients. So people, the relatives of the patients have been queuing outside the centers, and even when the BMC or other district administration have got the news that people, the shop owners are trying to hoard it, there has been raids, various raids, and the shop owners have been fined also. But this doesn't, improve the situation. And the decision that this would not be exported, this will have to be, there could be some, there'll have to be little time, or there has to be some time till this entire situation is applied over here, and the situation has to get better. But till then, it is the ordeal of the patient's relatives that have to stand in queues in long hours, and we know the situation in Maharashtra, the temperature and all. It is really hard for those people.
Okay. Now my final question to you here is, into two parts. First, purely in terms of the fight back or the inoculation drive. You have been talking about an upsurge, especially when it comes to the inoculation drive and a 4 lakh mark being set. Is the state government able to meet those target of inoculations, also testing? And secondly, there has been for long, almost for now 72 hours, word about, Maharashtra or this, Mumbai going into a lockdown. But, these are again reports that come and, keep cropping up, but there seems to be nothing concrete out of it. Do you somewhere feel the state government is in a catch-22 situation when it comes to implementing a full lockdown?
The first question, we have seen, the Maharashtra government in every district, they are trying and asking these centers to ramp up the entire process of vaccination. So we did see that Maharashtra has already crossed 1 crore mark, and till yesterday's data that had come, it had crossed, it was near 1 crore 2 lakh vaccinations. So we are seeing, and on your question that Maharashtra has set 4 lakh target, but they are still not able to reach that daily. They are trying to come close to it, but around to 3 lakh, close to 3 lakh beneficiaries are being inoculated on daily basis. So that is there. Apart from that, after Sunday's meeting, where Chief Minister and task force doctors had met and they discussed several issues, the issue of lockdown had also cropped up. They said that there could be no other way out. If they want to break the chain, lockdown is the way. And after that, soon after, State Health Minister Rajesh Tope, he had informed the press that after 14th of April, there could be an announcement. So we have to wait till 14th of April. And, as the numbers are being reported in Maharashtra, there is no denying for the fact that there could be a complete lockdown in the state.
Well, we'll leave it there. Happy Gudi Padwa greetings to you and your family and the entire bureau in Mumbai. Thank you and appreciate your joining us, giving us those updates, especially from the state of Maharashtra, which is on a boil. But as Shama put it there, the numbers are down on a Tuesday morning, but significantly the reason for the numbers to be down is testing that has suddenly hit a blip, and Shama expects the numbers to be back up on the upswing, especially when testing picks up pace. Also, the state government trying its best to inoculate more and more people in the state of Maharashtra. Well, shifting focus now to the Election Commission, where Sushil Chandra will assume charge as the Chief Election Commissioner today, replacing Sunil Arora, whose term at the office ended on Monday. The President on Monday appointed Sushil Chandra the senior-most Election Commissioner. During his term in office, he will oversee the conduct of elections in 5 states: Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Goa, Uttarakhand and Manipur. Before his 2-year tenure as Election Commissioner, Sushil Chandra was chairman of the Central Board of Direct Taxes, and since his appointment has worked on 10 state elections. Meanwhile, the Election Commission has imposed a 24-hour-long ban on West Bengal Chief Minister and Trinamool Congress Supremo Mamata Banerjee for violating the Model Code of Conduct. The ban has come into effect from 8 p.m. on Monday and will be enforced till 8 p.m. on Tuesday, that's later this evening. This is the third notice that has been issued to the West Bengal Chief Minister from the poll panel. The Election Commission, in a 5-page order, has said that Mamata Banerjee had made highly insinuating and provocative remarks laden with serious potential of breakdown of law and order and thereby adversely affecting the election process. The Commission also condemned such statements that affect serious law and order problems across the state and sternly warned Mamata Banerjee about it. The poll panel also advised her to desist from using such statements while making public utterances during the period when the Model Code of Conduct is in force. The West Bengal Chief Minister has been served 2 notices last week by the Election Commission, which said her replies to them betrayed selective amnesia. She was asked to explain her speeches on March 28th and April 7th, allegedly accusing central forces of intimidating voters and urging women to hit back or surround the security personnel. Well, the West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee was quick to respond as she decided to sit on dharna in protest. She tweeted, and I quote, "To protest against the undemocratic and unconstitutional decision of the Election Commission of India, I will sit on dharna tomorrow at Gandhi Murti, Kolkata from 12 noon." Well, reacting to the allegations of West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee that central forces were working on Union Home Minister Amit Shah's instructions during the State Assembly polls, the Director General of Central Reserve Police Force, that's CISF, Kuldeep Singh, has clarified that all paramilitary forces were working as per the Election Commission's directions. After 4 people were killed in Sitalkuchi during the 4th phase of the assembly elections on April 10th, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee had blamed the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, calling him the main conspirator.
कोई पॉलिटिकल पार्टी क्या बोल रही नहीं बोल रही वो उस पर मैं कोई कमेंट नहीं करूंगा, लेकिन कोई भी पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स या कोई भी उनके राज्य के ही जितने लोग इलेक्शन कमीशन के दायित्व में हैं, सब इलेक्शन कमीशन के निर्देश पे काम कर रहे हैं, इस बात की मैं आपको गारंटी देता हूं।
Well, the CRPF chief clearly clarifying that all orders being given by the Election Commission and being fully followed by the CRPF. Well, we've got Vishal Baristo, our correspondent, joining us from Kolkata to give us an insight into this particular development there. Vishal, it's a crucial phase 5 of elections on 17th of April. 45 seats are for grabs. Clearly, this particular, order by the Election Commission of a 24-hour ban on campaigning on the Chief Minister, a dampener, a big dampener or a big setback for the TMC.
Well, absolutely. A very good morning to you, Anil. Quite a dampener for the Chief Minister, though she had been served with 2 notices by the Election Commission, to which she did not give a proper reply. And the force that is being targeted time and again, as said by Mamata Banerjee, is CRPF, but in fact it was CISF, the Central Industrial Security Force, and CRPF had nothing to do with it. In fact, CRPF, as quoted by one of our own MPs, Mamata Banerjee, MPs, that CIF is well trained in crowd management, and CRPF rather, has been holding elections all through the country for a very long time. And not only that, they are also there at disturbed places, including Chhattisgarh, and they have done a commendable job for the country. So it is not proper for the Chief Minister to blame an organization, as accused by the Prime Minister himself. Yesterday, he held rallies here in Kolkata as well, and to be precise, to quote the Prime Minister in Bengali, Abul Tabul Button, she is not talking sense. This is what the Prime Minister said. And Mamata Banerjee is not taking it in the right spirit. And as you informed our viewers about the tweet, that she is sitting on a dharna. So quite a dampener, but BJP is going very hard on its campaign. Amit Shah, the Home Minister, would be holding 3 rallies starting off from the Darjeeling area, and also he would be having a meeting here in Bidhan Nagar, which is the Salt Lake area of Kolkata. Meanwhile, Anil, let me also add on, taking a lead from what Shyama, my colleague, was telling you, that there has been a surge, a 5-time surge in the last, in one fortnight in Kolkata itself, and this is also very, very scary as far as the COVID situation is concerned. And people like me, all the journalists, we are also very much scared. We are double masking ourselves, but experts say that double masking is not going to help. We need a proper mask. And time and again and again, studies come out, and it is so confusing. But at the same time, we have to be maintaining all the protocols which are time and again violated in the rallies. Okay. And one of the charitable trusts here in the new town of Kolkata has written a letter to the Election Commission asking the Election Commission to stop the rallies because of the surge in the COVID cases. Otherwise, they would file a public interest litigation against these rallies.
Oh, okay, Vishal, also put this, now that Mamata Banerjee is in the dock and there is a ban on her to campaign for 24 hours, is there going to be a ping-pong reverse? Is the TMC now going to cry to the Election Commission and cry foul, stating that, there are many statements that the state BJP president has made, we need to take cognizance of that. And, if our leader is at fault, so is the opposition.
Well, absolutely, because TMC from the very beginning, even before the elections, has been calling it a foul play by the BJP, even before the elections were announced, and there was a lot of bitterness between the TMC and the BJP. A war of words broke out. Even then, even the Parakram Divas, which was of national importance, that marked the birth anniversary of Netaji, was also marked by the not quite the CM's behavior as far as Mamata Banerjee was concerned, the way she walked out of the program. So it's been, from day one, it's been very, very hard between Mamata Banerjee and the BJP, and she also sought the resignation of the Home Minister, accusing him for using the paramilitary forces against the TMC. But as you heard, the Director General of the CISF saying that we are working on the directives of the Election Commission. And Mamata Banerjee has been trying very hard to convince the voters, because her statements asking one community to stand united and not let the vote divide is definitely quite provocative, and that could also land up in a different situation, a difficult situation. And then her statements to gher out the paramilitary forces, which includes the CISF, the CRPF, which have been deployed in large numbers. And let me tell you that Election Commission is also roping in more companies of paramilitary forces, because now the other half of this journey, electoral journey, is going to be very, very tough as we try and climb up the hill. We have crossed 4 phases, now 4 phases remain, which includes 40 seats, including in Calcutta area. So it is going to be a very tough battle between the two amid the COVID surge. So it is going to be a very, very interesting, but at the same time, very difficult situation for the law enforcement agencies, for the journalists, and for also the voters, because COVID is a big challenge here in Kolkata itself. Anil?
Okay, we'll leave it there. 17th of April, that's when the 5th phase of voting takes place. 45 seats there in this particular, high decibel, the winner takes it all battle in West Bengal, that's gaining more and more, more and more provocative, especially when it comes to both sides, especially when it comes to speeches, and the Election Commission clearly coming out hard on the West Bengal Chief Minister and putting a 24-hour ban on her. But clearly this particular battle seems too early to die down. We still have, after this phase on 17th, we still have 3 more phases left. We'll have to wait and watch how this particular election pans out. The counting of votes on the 2nd of May. Well, shifting now to Raisina Dialogue. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will virtually inaugurate the 6th edition of the prestigious Raisina Dialogue today. The theme for the Dialogue 2021 is Viral World, Outbreaks, Outliers and Out of Control. The 2021 edition will have 50 sessions with participation of 150 speakers from 50 countries and multilateral organizations. Over 2,000 attendees have pre-registered from over 80 countries, and a large number of participants are likely to join the dialogue through various social media platforms. The Raisina Dialogue is India's flagship conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics, held annually since 2016. In the past 6 years, the Raisina Dialogue has grown in stature and profile to emerge as a leading global conference on international affairs. It attracts leading minds from the global strategic and policy-making community to discuss broader foreign policy and strategic issues facing the world. Well, Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs of France will hold talks with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar today on bilateral, regional and international issues of mutual interest. He will also meet the Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar at a panel discussion on climate change. He will participate in the Raisina Dialogue. India and France enjoy a strategic partnership since 1998, which has been marked by regular high-level exchanges and growing cooperation in diverse fields. Le Drian's visit will pave the way for further strengthening of the partnership across trade, defense, climate, migration and mobility, along with education and health sectors in the post-COVID context. United Kingdom has added Pakistan to a list of 21 high-risk countries with unsatisfactory money laundering and terror financing controls. The list of 21 countries released by the UK government replicates those countries listed by the Financial Action Task Force, that's FATF, as high risk or under increased monitoring. These nations pose a threat because of a weak tax control and a lack of check and balance on terrorism financing and money laundering. The list has been released as part of the post-Brexit developments. Until the end of the Brexit transition period, the list of high-risk countries was determined by the European Union under the 4th Anti-Money Laundering Directive. UK now has its own standalone list with Pakistan featuring in it. Reacting to the development, Pakistan Foreign Office spokesperson Zahid Hafiz Chaudhry said that the UK's decision to include Pakistan in the list of money laundering and terror financing high-risk countries was not based on facts. Chaudhry expressed hope that United Kingdom would review its regulations. Well, Chaitra Navratri begins from today. The holy festival of Navratri is celebrated for 9 days and will conclude on the 22nd of April. The first day of Chaitra Navratri is celebrated as the new year by the people of Hindu community. People pray to 9 different forms of goddess Durga on these 9 days. Navratri is celebrated as different festivals in different states. Gudi Padwa in Maharashtra, Ugadi festival in Andhra Pradesh. On the auspicious festival of Chaitra Navratri, people greet their loved ones with wishes of a happy Navratri. In Delhi morning, Aarti was performed at the Jhandewala temple in the presence of priests and their family members. The temple has been closed for general public in view of the rising cases of COVID-19 in the national capital. Well, prayers were also offered at the Kalkaji temple in the national capital. Well, on the occasion of Baisakhi, devotees thronged to seek blessings at the Golden Temple in Amritsar. Small number of devotees were seen taking part in the customary dip in Sarovar. Baisakhi marks the start of the harvest season and thus has a special link with nature and farmers. Well, President Ramnath Kovind has extended greetings to fellow citizens on Chaitra Ugadi, Gudi Padwa, Cheti Chand, Navre, Shajibu, Vishu and Vaishak. In a tweet, he said these festivals celebrated in different ways across India symbolize unity in diversity. May these festivals bring good health, peace, prosperity to all. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has extended greetings to countrymen on the occasion of New Year. In a tweet, he said, over the next few days, people across India are going to be marking various festivals. These festivals showcase India's diversity and the spirit of Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat. May these special occasions spread happiness, prosperity and brotherhood across the nation. Prime Minister also paid tributes to those martyred in the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. In a tweet, he said, their courage, heroism and sacrifice gives strength to every Indian. Well, we are heading for a short commercial break. We'll be back in a short while. Stay tuned and keep watching DD India.
Kitchen waste, green waste, dried leaves from the garden, which are a source of carbon.
The money we received from the government added to our savings all went into the rice mill. I was into athletics before going in for judo, which really attracted me. It is a wonderful sport for girls and very beneficial.
Namaste land.
مرحبا إلى الهند.
زري إنديا.
سلام إنديا.
Namaste India.
Namaskar Bharata.
Nous sommes land.
نحن هنود.
India.
माँ हिंदी हस्ती.
Hindian.
Salam Hindustan.
We are India.
Welcome back. Let's now move across to our next section where we take a look at news from across the world in our segment Across the Globe. Well, starting first up with COVID-19 updates from across the globe, more than 13 crore 72 lakh people worldwide have so far tested positive for COVID-19, while over 11 crore have recovered from the virus. The deadly virus has so far claimed the lives of 29,58,000 people worldwide. United States continues to be the worst affected by the pandemic, both in terms of infections as well as fatalities. In terms of infections, 3 crore 19 lakhs. In terms of deaths, 5,76,000 people have lost their lives in United States of America. The Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Ghebreyesus, on Monday has said that confusion and complacency in addressing COVID-19 means the pandemic is a long way from over, but it can be brought under control in months with proven public health measures. The WHO DG also said that very few people are taking precautions, and it appears that some have been taking the approach that they are relatively young. It doesn't matter if they get COVID-19.
We too want to see societies and economies reopening and travel and trade resuming. But right now, intensive care units in many countries are overflowing and people are dying. And it is totally avoidable. This disease is not flu. Young, healthy people have died. And we still don't fully understand the long-term consequences of infection for those who survive. This pandemic is a long way from over. But we have many reasons for optimism.
Meanwhile, the WHO team leader on COVID-19 said that the pandemic is growing exponentially with a 9% increase in cases last week, the 7th consecutive week of increases, and a 5% rise in the death rate.
Of the pandemic right now. The trajectory of this pandemic is growing. In the 7th week in a row, we've had more than 4.4 million new cases reported in the last week. If you compare that to a year ago, we had about 500,000 cases being reported per week. Last week, we had 4.4 million cases. If you look on our website and you actually look at the epi curve and the trajectory of the pandemic right now, it is growing exponentially. This is not the situation we want to be in 16 months into a pandemic, where we have proven control measures.
Well, Africa must expand the vaccine manufacturing to combat the COVID-19 pandemic and future health emergencies. Continent leaders and international health officials have said this on Monday. The continent has struggled to acquire coronavirus vaccines and imports majority of its medicines and medical equipment, leaving it at the mercy of overseas supplies. The World Trade Organization, that's WTO Director General, said it was a serious economic hit that just 1.1% per 100 Africans have received a vaccine, while in North America, the rate was over 40 per 100.
Between a steeper fall and a weaker rebound, Africa will have lost ground to other regions, particularly Asia. So to boost growth, trade, and livelihoods, we need to get vaccines to everyone who needs them. And with the lowest rate of vaccine delivery, 1.1 doses per 100 people. In North America, the figure is over 40. This is morally unconscionable and a serious economic hit.
Speaking at the conference, the World Health Organization chief said WHO supports calls for manufacturers to remove obstacles hindering access to critical health products.
WHO joins countries around the world that are calling on vaccine manufacturers to remove obstacles that are preventing access to critical health products. We continue to call on companies to share know-how, intellectual property, and data with other qualified vaccine manufacturers, including in low and middle-income countries.
Well, England began easing its COVID-19 lockdown restrictions from Monday. As evening fell, shoppers from the famed Oxford Street were treated to a large-scale digital art installation that lit up a three-storied shop front. Titled Constellations, the artwork by LA-based British-born light sculptor Anthony James features 33 million LED light bulbs installed over 36 digital canvases covering the exterior of the Faneuil flagship shop. The artwork is the first public digital installation of its kind. People, however, will have to follow the COVID-19 protocols and maintain social distancing along with wearing face masks. Well, as many as 200 Dutch tourists arrived on the Greek island of Rhodes on Monday to trade lockdown in the Netherlands for 8 days of voluntary confinement in a Greek holiday resort as part of a test to see if safe holidays can be arranged during the COVID-19 pandemic. For €399 each, participants will have an all-inclusive access to the pool, restaurants and other facilities inside the hotel. However, they will not have access to the beach. At the hotel, guests will have to keep a distance of at least 5 feet from each other. They also face severe coronavirus tests before, during and after their trip and will have to quarantine for at least 5 days upon return. Despite the restrictions, demand for the trip was high, with around 25,000 people signing up in a hope of getting a ticket. The Biden administration has appeared to distance itself from an apparent attack on the Iranian nuclear facility at Natanz. The White House said that it was not involved in a power outage incident at an Iranian nuclear site and declined comment on Tehran accusing Israel of sabotaging the facility. Earlier on Monday, Iran had accused Israel of sabotaging its key Natanz nuclear site and had spoken about revenge for the attack. Israel has not confirmed or denied the accusation, and the attacks add a fresh complication to discussions in Vienna and also to President Joe Biden's efforts to smoothen ties with Israel. Talks are expected to resume on Wednesday in Vienna. President Joe Biden said he is willing to negotiate with lawmakers about changes to his more than $2 trillion infrastructure plan. The White House said that the COVID-19 bill was a response to the raging national crisis and that negotiations on infrastructure would be more deliberative. Meanwhile, Republicans have signaled that they will support infrastructure bill only if Biden slashes the scope and price tag of his proposal. GOP lawmakers have also criticized Biden's plan to increase the corporate tax rate to 28% to offset the investments. Republicans cut the rate to 21% from 35% in 2017. Biden has repeated his stated desire to collaborate with Republicans. He has hosted Republicans and Democrats from both chambers at a White House meeting to discuss a way forward on the infrastructure plan. Foreign ministers from the G7 group of nations, including UK and France, have condemned the increase of Russian troop numbers near its border with Ukraine and in the Russian-occupied region of Crimea. British Foreign Ministry said that large-scale troop movements without prior notification represent threatening and destabilizing activities. G7 has called on Russia to cease its provocations and to immediately de-escalate tensions in line with its international obligations. The White House has also expressed concern over Russia's increasing aggression on the Ukraine border and that this will be a subject of talks between senior US and NATO officials this week. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that the United States has been watching the increasing aggression of Russian troops on the border. White House has also said that US officials are in contact with Ukrainian officials as well. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that Turkey and other responsible countries not to feed what he described as belligerent sentiment in Ukraine. Well, moving to the next story, ATM machines and banks in Myanmar opened after a month after the country's central bank introduced withdrawal limitations following a military coup. Banks in Myanmar have remained shut since the military coup on Feb 1st. The public are allowed to withdraw only 2 lakh kyat from their bank accounts per day. The central bank introduced withdrawal limitations at the beginning of March. The coup has plunged Myanmar into crisis after 10 years of tentative steps towards democracy. Myanmar security forces have killed over 706 protesters so far, and the coup has also triggered relentless protests by those opposed to military rule and unyielding suppression by the generals who say that only they can save the country from disintegration. Well, one fireman reported dead while several others hospitalized after trying to douse a massive fire that broke out in a historical building in St. Petersburg in Russia. The reason for the fire currently remains unknown. Residents were evacuated to safety as fire spread to nearby residential areas. The historical building that caught fire was constructed in the 19th century as a workhouse, but recently was used as a business center. Well, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan met Libya's Prime Minister Abdulhamid Debella in Ankara. Turkish President said that both nations are committed to the 2019 Maritime Demarcation Accord in the Eastern Mediterranean. Turkey has backed the Tripoli-based government of National Accord against the eastern-based Libyan National Army, which was supported by Russia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates and France. Meanwhile, Libya's Prime Minister said that agreements between the two countries, including the Maritime Demarcation Agreement, are based on a valid framework. Erdogan also said, adding that Ankara will send 150,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines to Libya as part of a support against the outbreak. Well, time now to move to our next segment on sports. Well, first up, IPL, Sanju Samson's sensational 100 on his captaincy debut went in vain as young pacer Arshdeep Singh held his nerve in the final over to help Punjab pull off a thrilling 4-run win over Rajasthan in a high-scoring IPL game in Mumbai on Monday night. KL Rahul made 91 of 50 and Deepak Hooda made 64 of 28 to power Punjab to an imposing 221 for 6 after being put into bat on a batting track. Sanju Samson almost took Rajasthan home with a breathtaking 119 of 63 deliveries, but was caught off the game's final ball with left-arm pacer Arshdeep defending 13 runs from the last over. In the end, it was not to be for Rajasthan as Punjab scraped through with a 4-run win. On a Champions League, today's Champions League quarter-final second leg will witness match between PSG, that's Paris Saint-Germain, and Bayern Munich. In the first leg, PSG won the Battle of Munich 3-2, but the fight is far from over. PSG coach Mauricio Pochettino has said that the players know that as soon as referee Antonio Mato Lahoz blew his whistle from the last time under the snow, this particular battle is far from over. Well, Chelsea meanwhile face Porto in Seville today in their Champions League quarter-final second leg tie. They lead 2-0 from last week's first leg. Thomas Tuchel's side, currently 5th in the Premier League, then face Manchester City in the FA Cup semi-finals on Saturday. Chelsea were 9th in the Premier League when Frank Lampard was sacked on 25th of Jan, having suffered 5 defeats in their previous 8 league games. They have since lost only once in 17 games under Thomas Tuchel. Chelsea and Porto returned to the neutral venue of Sevilla on Tuesday night, but with the Blues' win last week coming in their away leg, they hold the advantage of 2 away goals. Well, South Africa made light work of chasing down a below-par score to level the 4-match T20 series against Pakistan, making it 1-1 with a 6-wicket win with 36 deliveries in hand at the Wanderers. George Linde starred in the first half, picking up the first 3 Pakistani wickets to restrict them to 140, then scored an unbeaten 20 of the last 10 deliveries to help South Africa polish off what was left of a small target coming into bat with 49 runs to get. Well, the Indian men's hockey team dropped 1 place to 5th in the FIH World Rankings issued on Monday, despite 2 wins against Olympic champions Argentina in the Pro League matches. India registered a comprehensive 3-0 win over Argentina on Sunday in Buenos Aires in the second match of the FIH Pro League. It had also won the first match in a penalty shootout on Saturday. Despite these wins, however, it moved down a rung from the 4th spot it had occupied in the January rankings, though it accumulated more points. Reigning world and European champions Belgium sit at the summit ahead of the 2019 FIH Hockey Pro League winners Australia. In the women's ranking, the Indian team is 9th with 1643 points, the same position as in the previous chart. Well, time now to move to our health segment. Well, diarrhea is a common problem seen in children. If left untreated, it can become life-threatening in some cases. Let's understand how to manage and prevent diarrhea in children.
Diarrheal disease is the second leading cause of death in children under 5 years of age. Globally, there are nearly 1.7 billion cases of childhood diarrheal disease every year. Diarrhea is the leading cause of malnutrition in children under 5 years.
Summer brings to children many diseases. One of the most important of them is diarrhea, where child passes many loose stools and is at a risk of losing enough water from the body that it can be dangerous. It is a preventable disease. You can prevent diarrheal episodes in your children because children often in summer out of thirst drink from unsafe sources. So ensure your child has a safe potable water bottle available with him or her when they go out to play, when they go to school or outside. You can also ensure a decrease in spread of infection by simple hygienic things like asking your child to wash hands after toilet, before having food and after food, so that there is no continuation of infection from one place to the other place.
Diarrhea can cause dehydration, which can be life-threatening if untreated. Dehydration is particularly dangerous in children and those with weakened immune system. Antibiotics might not help to treat diarrhea caused by virus.
Once your child is having diarrhea, continue to give liquids available with you to your patient or to the child, because that's one way to meet the requirement of the water in the body. If you have oral rehydration solution available with you, that is fantastic. That will also take care of the loss of minerals from the body, salts from the body in addition to the water, and that's the perfect solution one has for these conditions. However, when you are treating your child at home or while you are going to seek help, remember there are some risk signs or high risk red flag signs you should be aware of. If your child is not eating well, is lethargic, his eyes are sunken, or has not passed urine for a long time, this is a child who is very badly dehydrated and needs medical care. In such a situation, while you continue to give oral fluids to the child, seek an urgent help with a health physician who can take care of the rest of the problems.
It is important to consult a doctor immediately in case of severity. A significant proportion of diarrheal diseases can be prevented through proper hygiene and precautions. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
Well, let's now take a look at today's weather forecast. Well, scattered to fairly widespread rainfall and thunderstorm, lightning and gusty winds very likely over southwest peninsula India during the next 4 to 5 days. Isolated heavy rainfall very likely over Kerala and coastal Karnataka during 13 to 15, and over south interior Karnataka, south and Ghat areas of Tamil Nadu over the next 72 hours. Isolated rainfall with thunderstorm, lightning and gusty winds very likely over Madhya Maharashtra, Marathwada, Konkan, Goa, Madhya Pradesh, Vidarbha, Telangana and Chhattisgarh during the next 2 to 3 days. Well, time now to take a look at the weather in your city. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of Breakfast News. But remember, do not forget to SMS at all times. When I say SMS in the fight against COVID-19, it's simple. Sanitize yourself at all time, wear your mask, maintain social distancing. It's SMS. You need to keep that as a part of your daily cycle in this fight against COVID-19. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to you, but I leave you with some wonderful visuals to lighten up your day. And we've got visuals there from all the way from Argentina, where we got some penguins on wood. Take a look at them, enjoy the sight, have a safe and wonderful day ahead.